Hey guys, what's up? Before I play the video, I just wanted to let you know I noticed really late in the process of making this video that the dialogue, the main audio, has some weird irregularities to it, to where some of the words I'm saying I don't pronounce the last letter, or it just kind of cuts off the last letter. So if you hear anything weird or you're wondering what's going on with the audio, that's what it was. I don't know what exactly caused it, but it is what it is. Sorry about that, guys, and on with the video. What's happening, guys? Supernova here, back with another video, and this is going to be my no bullshit review of Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 5. But before we get into that, I first want to announce the winner of my Spider-Man 2 giveaway, and that winner is, don't know if I'm going to be able to pronounce this properly, but Kinthale7325, if that's how you fucking pronounce it. But anyway, congratulations. You are the winner of that code for Spider-Man 2. You have until the end of tomorrow to reach out to me either here or via a Twitter DM for me to exchange that code with you. If I don't hear from you by the end of tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and select another winner. So tick tock, because other people want this code, and if I don't hear from you, someone else is going to get it. But anyway, congratulations again, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Now, with all that shit out of the way, let's get into this review. By the way, for those of you who are wondering, this will be a 100% spoiler-free review. The only thing you're going to see on the screen is the trailer for the game, the extended gameplay trailer. I'm not going to show anything else, none of my own gameplay, nothing, other than short snippets I may have taken to show you instances of things that I want to talk about. But you're not going to see any extended gameplay from me because I'm not trying to spoil anything. I'm also not going to spoil anything verbally. So if you're looking to go into this game with zero knowledge of anything outside of what the trailers show, do not worry, this video is the one that you are looking for. Now, about the game, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I do have somewhat of a personal bias towards this game because Spider-Man is my favorite superhero of all time. I've been a huge Spider-Man fan all the way back since I saw the animated cartoon in the 90s. Hell, back before it was easy to get a Spider-Man suit, I was one of the only people to have a full head-to-toe $1,000 Spider-Man suit. I was also the first person, really, that anyone knows of that had a suit that was the Sam Raimi pattern with 3D urethane spiders front and back, but the lenses from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 rather than the Raimi lens. Like, when I had done that, I was one of the first people to ever do it. Yes, I'm a pioneer. I'm kind of a big... No, I'm not a big deal. But yes, I was that person. So Spider-Man has always been a big deal to me. Now, that doesn't mean that I just love everything Spider-Man for the sake of loving it because it's Spider-Man. I do want to make that clear. For example, I did love the first two Raimi films, didn't like the third film. Hated The Amazing Spider-Man 1, fucking immensely hated The Amazing Spider-Man 2, although I think that's one of the best suits ever to appear on the big screen. And then I loved all the Tom Holland Spider-Man films. But there were films in there where I was like, this is absolute dog shit. I do not like it. So I just want to make it clear that just because I love Spider-Man doesn't mean that I love all things Spider-Man because they are Spider-Man. Okay? Now, that being said, what about this game? Well, again, somewhat of a bias because I loved the first Spider-Man game. I'm one of the people that thinks that in their first outing in Spider-Man 2018, I felt that that game was better than the Arkham game. How could you think it's better than the Arkham? Because I fucking did deal with it, okay? So I had felt that at that time, that was the greatest superhero game of all time for me. And then came Miles Morales. And while Miles Morales didn't speak to me as much as the first game, I think on a narrative level, like I just really preferred the story of Spider-Man 2018 still. Miles Morales was a game that did almost everything better than the first Spider-Man game, which was like, how could they make the first game better? Well, here comes Miles Morales, and it pretty much does it with the exception of what I feel is the story. And again, cements itself as one of the greatest superhero games of all time. Now, here we are, a couple years later, with Spider-Man 2. So how do I feel about this game? What are my thoughts? Well, I gotta be honest with you guys. I did not beat Spider-Man 2. I know, you're probably sitting there like, yo, Nova, how are you making a fucking review for Spider-Man 2 and you didn't even beat it? I know, and I'll tell you how. because I didn't beat Spider-Man 2. I platinumed that bitch. Oh yes, I got that platinum Saturday afternoon. It took me 26 hours, and I loved every single fucking hour of this game. This game is incredible, amazing, spectacular. Any of the Spider-Man titles you want to use, that's what this game is. This game is fucking spectacular. Is it perfect? No. And I'll talk about the reasons why it's not perfect in this video, as well as the reasons why I think it's fucking amazing. But yeah, for me, Spider-Man 2 surpasses both of its previous games. It is the new best superhero game of all fucking time, and I don't even think that it is close. It is not even fucking close. Anyone that wants to say, oh, Arkham City, fuck Arkham City. And I love Batman, but fuck Arkham City. Arkham City does not hold a candle to this game in many fucking areas. And we can talk about that as well in this video. But first, why do I think it's so good? Well, it's because any category that you can think of, graphics, gameplay, combat, animations, enemies, no matter what category you pick, Spider-Man 2 does it better than the games that came before. And that should be the goal of any sequel, right? Any sequel's goal should be do everything better than we did in the last game. Not every sequel is able to do that. I think that Spider-Man 2, in damn near every conceivable way, does things better than the previous two games. In every conceivable way, except for maybe the story. And that's not to say that the story in Spider-Man 2 isn't good. No, the story in Spider-Man 2 is fucking awesome, okay? It just doesn't have the same emotional connection with me that the previous two games, and especially Spider-Man 18, had with me, right? Like, the emotional connection wasn't as strong. There were still moments in this game that got me a little misty-eyed, all right? Yeah, I'm a bitch, I said it. I'm a bitch, this game made me a little misty-eyed. But nothing in this game, spoiler alert, if you haven't played Spider-Man 2018, not my fucking problem. It's fucking 5 years ago. But spoiler alert, in 2018, when Aunt May fucking on her deathbed said to Spider-Man, take off your mask, I want to see my nephew, I was whimpering like a little bitch. I was sitting there like, oh, fuck. I should know you was Spider-Man the whole fucking time. But no, fucking real talk, Spider-Man 2018, I had a stronger emotional connection with that game than I did with this one. But this story is still fucking awesome, and it gets a lot wilder and crazier than I had expected. If you hear anyone saying that, oh, Spider-Man 2 is just a safe game, oh, they played it too safe with Spider-Man 2, well, this story does shit that I would say is not fucking safe, because some of it may be kind of out there to people. Like, especially when it comes to the symbiotes and shit, it gets a little weird, right? We're talking about aliens here, so the game gets a little weird. Even the music at certain points has this weird sci-fi alien effect to the music, because we're dealing with fucking aliens. So yeah, the story is fucking awesome, and while I don't, like I said, while I don't have the same emotional connection that I did with the first game, I do feel that this story and this game is paced better than both the previous games. I feel the pacing in this game and in this story is much better. There is a little bit of a lull in the middle, kind of like the other two games, but it is very short, and you very quickly get right back into the action. And the last portion of this game, it goes bananas. So yeah, story in the game is fantastic. And you know what? Let me do it this way, since my reviews are never structured, right? I don't have a fucking script. I'm not fucking professional. I off the top of my head, right? Off the top of my head, I tell you the things I like and didn't like about it. So let me start off doing it this way, because I think it might be a better way to do this. Let me talk about some things that people may have criticized about the first game, or criticisms people may have had going into the second game, and tell you if those criticisms are still kind of valid, right? So let's start with a criticism of the first game, which was the puzzles. Some people didn't care for the puzzles in the first game, even though I enjoyed the puzzles and didn't find them that hard. Some people out there, a crap gamer, thought the puzzles were too fucking hard and didn't like them. Well, if you're one of those people, you can skip the puzzles, so it's really not an issue in this game. That being said, there are puzzles in it, and I actually think the puzzles in this game are better than they were in the last game. But if you don't like them, you can skip them. Another criticism of the first game, this is one that I heard probably more than anything, was that they didn't like playing as Miles or Mary Jane. They did not like the forced stealth section. Well, if you are one of those people, unfortunately for you, there are still some forced stealth sections. However, they are much, much better this time around, and I will explain why. In the first game, you were playing as a powerless Miles Morales and Mary Jane in what were essentially insta-fail stealth sections, right? The second you were spotted, boom, failed the mission, had to restart. Fucking trying to sneak through shit, someone sees you, boom, failed the mission, have to restart. In the 4 stealth sections in this game, which are only Mary Jane, and there's only 3 of them, so don't worry if you still are like, nah, this doesn't sound good. There are only 3 of them. In the forced stealth missions with Mary Jane, if you are spotted, it is no longer an instant fail. As a matter of fact, Mary Jane Watson in this game is also not the helpless little bitch that she was in the first game. They explain in this one that MJ has actually done some combat training with Sable, and if you don't know who Sable is a super badass fucking mercenary. So MJ has been doing some training with Sable, whether that's believable or not, it's up to you. And on top of being trained by Sable, she also has a stun gun taser type weapon that she can run up behind enemies with and tase them. Hell, she can run directly up to an enemy and tase them. So if you get spotted, you can literally sprint up to the enemy and then stun them. Boom. And then they're down. And they're going to be shooting shit at you. Either shooting, I believe, arrows or crossbow bolts that are essentially tranquilizers. And you can get shot up to 2 times in quick succession before the mission ends. However, if you've been shot and that main tranquilizer dart wears off, well, then you can still get shot 2 times, right? Like, as long as the first tranquilizer isn't active anymore, you can still get shot 2 times. And what this effectively does is makes these missions feel a lot more like something from Metal Gear Solid, right? A stealth game with combat, whereas before, there were no combat options. You get spotted before, boom, mission ends. You get spotted now, and they go, hey, bitch, get your ginger ass the fuck over here. That's not really what they say, but they say what they say, and you can either run away or run towards them and tase them. And what it effectively does is it makes it so that these missions now don't become this trial and error thing that you get stuck on, because for a lot of people, you know, they got stuck on those missions because it was a lot of trial and error. Is this the right route? No, this is not the right route. I got spotted. Do I use this distraction now? What's the timing on this distraction? And you end up having to replay that mission multiple times until your trial and error gives you the right path, timing, and distractions to use at the right time. Instead of you getting stuck on these missions now, it makes it so that it flows much better. I think I only failed the second mission once. Other than that, I didn't fail any of the MJ missions. They're honestly not that hard. They're not that bad. As long as you're paying attention and you're being patient, they are actually pretty easy to get through. And for me, I actually enjoyed them because, like I said, they play a lot more like a stealth combat game now than the trial and error insta-fail missions that they were before. Now, if you absolutely hate stealth altogether, then you're probably not going to like these portions of the game. But if you were just not the biggest fan of them before, I feel that honestly you will like them a lot more this time around than you did before. So again, this is another area where I feel that this game does it much better than the last game. Now, is it 100% believable that MJ can fucking take on an entire squad of these highly trained hunters and she's just a bitch that did a little fucking Taibo with fucking Silver Sable? I don't know. But hey, it's a video game. And I feel that these sections, for me, are much better than they were in the first game. Another big criticism that you've probably either had or heard about this game is the fact that over 50% of the map is the same map as Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales, right? Like, it's the same New York City that they use in those 2 games, with the exception of the fact that they added Queens and Brooklyn over the bridge. And you'll hear people say that it's going to feel like the same game, you're essentially playing the same game, blah, blah, blah. Well, yes, it is the same map, but I promise you, it does not feel like you're playing the same game, okay? First of all, there have been many, many visual upgrades to the city. The city looks way better than it's ever looked. It has far more traffic, far more civilians walking on the street, far more trees and greenery that really just changes the entire look of the city. That in combination with the fact that you have the areas over the bridge that are completely different, I promise you, as you are swinging through the city, even though there will be some level of familiarity to it, you will not feel like you were playing the first game. I promise you that. Or Miles Morales, for that matter. You're not going to feel like you're playing those games. You will feel like you are playing a new game. Also, any of the combat encounters and things that take place in the open world, they're not taking place in the same exact locations that happened in the first two games. So you're not constantly looking at the same places. Also, any combat encounters or things that take place in interior spaces, like in the campaign, those are unique to this game. They've never existed outside of this game. So you're going to spend almost the entirety of this game doing things in places that you've never really been before, or seeing things that you haven't seen before, even though over 50% of the overworld map is shared with the other two games, if that makes sense, right? So I think criticisms of this is the same map as the same game, I don't think that those criticisms are valid. And I think anyone who's actually played the game would probably say the same thing, that you don't feel like you're playing the other two games when you're playing Spider-Man 2. It just does not feel like those games. And I think one of the reasons for that is also because of how different the traversal is in the game, right? Like, traversal in this game is amazing. Swinging in Spider-Man 2018 and in Miles Morales was already fucking awesome. Like, it was one of the best feeling things. People just love to just swing through the game. Some people just turn on the game just to turn off their brains and just swing through it, because it's just it's enjoyable thing. I don't know what it is about the swing in Spider-Man 2, but it just, for me, is so enjoyable. And I'm not the only one. It is so enjoyable, even in the other game, that even though fast travel was something you could do, hardly anybody uses the fast travel, right? Because just the traversal feels so good and swing is so much fun. Well, in this game, swinging is even more fun than it was in those previous two games. And then with the addition of the web wings, traversal has never felt as good or been as fun as it is in this game. Like, fast travel in this game is instantaneous. There is no load screen. You pick the start you want to fucking fast travel to, and then it instantly moves you to that section of the map. And then boom, you're either swinging or gliding and on the move again, even though it is instantaneous. And I could move from one end of the map to the other in literally less than 2 seconds. I never did, because I had so much fun swinging and gliding in this game. It just, something about it, I love it, and I know I'm not the only one, right? And like I said, it feels better than it ever has, especially with the DualSense, because the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers in this game is probably the best usage of those two features since Astro's Playroom when the PS5 launched. I don't think any other game has utilized all the features in the DualSense as well as Insomniac has in Spider-Man 2. It really does elevate the feeling of combat and traversal that little extra bit to make it feel so good. So again, long story short, I think that the criticisms of the map being shared or the same, non-issue in my opinion. Another thing that's handled much, much better is the collectibles and side missions in the open world. Whereas in the first game, it's handled far more like a Ubisoft game. It's very Ubisoft-ish in the fact that they would just litter your map with shit, right? You would just pull up your map and then go, hey, you want to know what the fucking side missions and collectibles are? Hey, is it over here, over here, over here, and over there? Oh, you go fucking get them. Right? Like, it's not like that in this game. In this game, the things will only appear on your map if you've actually gotten close enough for them to appear on your mini-map, which means you have to actually be in the vicinity of those things. So they will only appear on your map after you've been by them in the actual world, which means that you actually have to explore this game to find things, and it actually adds another level to the traversal, because now, as you're traversing through the world, you feel like you're being rewarded for doing so, because as you are swinging and gliding through the world, boom, here's little chests that are popping up, here's spider bots that are popping up, here's side missions that are popping up. You're rewarded for swinging and gliding through the open world, where in the previous game, you weren't rewarded for doing it, you just had to get from point A to point B. Now, you kind of need to find things, and I honestly feel it's a much better way of doing it. Some people may not feel that way, but I feel that this way is the way that it should have been done from the beginning, and I think it is a change for the better. So for me, exploration and the way side quests and collectibles are handled in this game, far better than the previous game. And back to traversal for just a second, because for those of you who don't know, on top of being able to swing in this game, Spider-Man also has his iconic and classic web wings, allowing you to glide in this game. And I know a concern for a lot of people going into this game was that gliding would kind of outshine swinging, or gliding would replace swinging, or it would somehow make it so that swinging was obsolete, and now all of a sudden you're going to find all these people who aren't swinging in a fucking Spider-Man game, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that is not the case. As great as gliding is and feels, you cannot just glide everywhere, because when you do glide, you lose altitude and speed. So you can't just glide everywhere. So you're going to be finding this rhythm of swinging to gain altitude and gain speed, and then gliding, swinging and gliding. And you literally do this with the press of triangle, right? You press triangle, boom, into web wings, press triangle, boom, back, just swinging. So you will find this flow where you swing to gain the altitude and speed, then boom, triangle, glide where you want to go, then boom, back into swinging. And it is not a replacement for swinging. It is almost like an augmentation of it. It is something that you're going to do in concert with swinging. And for me, it takes a traversal method that I honestly feel was already the best traversal method in a game ever, and it makes it even that much better. And I don't mean like a little bit better, I mean like a fuck ton better. There are also areas around the map that have these things called super slingshots, and you've probably seen them in the gameplay trailer that I'm playing in the background. When Peter switches to Miles, he's on this thing called a super slingshot where he webs 2 poles on the rooftop of this building, pulls back, and slingshots himself forward at immense speed. And those are certain locations throughout the map, and they're incredibly fun to use. But you don't have to only be on the super slingshots to be able to slingshot. No, there is an ability you can get in the game that will allow you to slingshot from any place on the map. Now, it's not as fast or as powerful as a super slingshot, but it does still slingshot you forward, albeit at a slower speed. And it's another thing that just adds to the traversal in this game, right? Because you can now, from any place on the map, slingshot, get a little bit of speed, boom, right into gliding, and then bam, back into swing. It really is, for me, the best traversal in any game ever. Also, the speed at which you can traverse is just, compared to the other games, it is immensely fast, right? Like the standard swinging speed, the speed at which you can swing and glide at the beginning of the game is already faster than you're able to swing in the previous games. But when you get those upgraded to max, you are just cooking across this map. Like, you need to get to the other side of the map between how fast you can swing, how fast you can glide, and then using those slipstreams, you will get across the map in no time. You get across the map super fast, and like I said, it is super fun. Traversal in this game is not a notch above the other games. It is 5 notches above the other game. Yes, it's hyperbolic, but god damn it, I feel that traversal is just that much better in this game. And again, I know I'm not alone feeling that. And then I know we touched on it briefly earlier in this video, but like graphically, this game is beautiful. It is one of the best looking games on console, period. Hands down. Like, it's not even an argument, right? You cannot argue that Spider-Man 2 is not one of the best looking games that exists on console today, because it is, and it does. Now, is it the best looking game on console? I don't think so. I think it falls short in some areas, right? Like for me right now, I think the best looking game on console, period, is Horizon Forbidden West: The Burning Shores. That is the most beautiful game I've ever seen on console. And I think that, you know, realistically, it does benefit from the fact that it is a lot of these lush jungles, foliage, and trees and bushes. It's just more beautiful to look at than just steel buildings. I think that game also benefited from not having hundreds of thousands of fucking ray traced reflective surfaces in the game, right? Because like in Spider-Man 2, everything has fucking ray traced reflections. The building, the cars, the suits, the puddles on the ground. And yes, there are a lot of puddles on the ground in this game. It's almost like Insomniac was like, puddle gate, huh, motherfucker? Puddle gate, huh, motherfucker? Well, check it out, motherfucker. Puddles everywhere, bitch. Tell me there ain't no goddamn puddles in this game. Tell me ain't no puddles everywhere, motherfucker. Say something. Say puddles again. Say puddles 2 more times. Say puddles 2 more times, and see if I don't show up like Beetlejuice and beat your fucking ass. Puddles, bitch. They everywhere. But yeah, there are fucking ray traced reflective surfaces everywhere in Spider-Man 2. There also isn't a mode in the game that doesn't have ray traced reflective surfaces everywhere, which is another feather in the cap of Insomniac game. They're the only company that's been able to fucking do that, really. But yeah, I think that Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores, uh, and even Forbidden West by itself, benefited greatly from not having ray trace shit everywhere. But yeah, I do feel that that is a better looking game visually than Spider-Man 2. I also feel that character models probably look a little better in games like Horizon Forbidden West or in The Last of Us Part 2, like Naughty Dog. I think Naughty Dog makes some of the best looking character models like there is. But that isn't to say that it's not a beautiful game. It is. It is a beautiful game. Everywhere you look, you're going to be saying, wow, this game looks great. It does not matter which mode you choose, whether it's fidelity, whether it's performance, does not matter which mode you're in. You will always be looking around saying, God damn, this is a good looking game. Anyone trying to say that this isn't a good looking game is either a lying, disingenuous piece of shit or their eyes are fucking broken. End of story, period, full stop. Now, combat in this game is another area that I feel this game does it better than the previous game. And the reason for that is because of the way it handles abilities and specifically the mods. Now, there are less mods in this game, so some people may see that as a negative, and I know that I've heard some people say that they feel it's a negative. I don't feel it's a negative, and let me explain why. While this game does indeed have less mods for you to use, the way that you use the mods that you do have far better than in the previous game. Also, I found that in the previous game, even though there were more mods, I didn't use most of the mods. I found most of the mods not really as good as the others, so I stuck with the couple of mods that I thought were more effective than the rest, right? Like, yeah, there were a fuck ton of mods. I didn't use most of them. I had the 2 or 3 that I really liked, and those were the ones I used through the entire game. So while this game only has 4 mods, because of the way that it allows you to use them, I feel it works in the best interest of the flow of combat. Because previously, you can only have 1 mod equipped at a time. You had a bunch of them, but you can only have 1 equipped at a time. And if you wanted to change them, you had to pull up a little weapon wheel, and it would kind of not freeze the game entirely, but put the game in like super slow-mo in the background as you selected your new mod that you want to use, and then go back to the game. So it was this kind of constant interrupting the flow of combat to select the next mod that you want to use. Well, in this game, you have 4 mods equipped at all times, and all you have to do is hold R1 and then press one of the face buttons. One of the face buttons will use one of those mods, and they're on a cooldown. So once the cooldown is done, boom, you can use that mod again. And what it means is now, while you're in the middle of combat, you are throwing out mods without having to stop combat. And it makes that flow of combat much, much better. Yeah, there were more mods in the last game, but I didn't use half of them. The mods in this game, I used all the time. Why? Because why not? They're easy to use. Even if I found a mod not as good as the other mods, right? Like, let's say one of the 4 mods I didn't find as useful as the other 3. It takes not even a half a second to use it, so why not? I find myself using every single mod in this game all of the time, whereas in the previous games, I found myself using mods very seldomly, and the ones I did use weren't even all of them. It was like, 2 or 3. Now I use all the mods, and I use them all the time because of how simple and how streamlined the usage of those mods is. And then you also have your abilities that are tied to L1 and one of the face buttons. And they're also on a cooldown, so just like with the mods, fucking in the middle of combat, boom, 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 L1 face button, boom, use an ability. R1 face button, boom, use a mod, boom, 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 combat, 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 cooldown, boom. L1 face button, boom, use an ability. R1 face button, boom, use a mod. It does not interrupt the flow of combat. For me, I think this is a much better way to do it than they did in the previous game. Not to mention the fact that on top of your usual attack, web, and evade, you also have a parry in this game. Yes, you have the ability to parry attacks. And honestly, I didn't think parrying would be something I would use that often, but I found myself parrying enemies all the time in this game, and it feels great, it's fun to do, and it's just another thing that they've added to the combat that for me makes combat in Spider-Man 2 the best combat has ever felt or been in any of these Insomniac games. Now, will everybody feel that way? I don't know. I'm just telling you how I feel. I feel it is much better than it was in previous games. Then there are the suits. Holy fuck, are there a lot of suits? There are over 65 suits. And then on top of there being that many suits, most of the suits have 3 alternate color variations you can choose, just adding to the possibilities of suits in this game. And then also, quick spoiler alert, because I'm going to talk about some of the suits you get in this game. So if you're one of those people that doesn't want to know any of the suits you're going to get in this game, I'm going to put up on the screen right now the timestamp of where you can skip to, where you'll skip over the section of me talking about these suits if you're one of those people that wants to know absolutely nothing. All right, so on screen now, you will see that timestamp. Go there now. So anyway, if you are a fan of the live action Spider-Man movies, I'm here to tell you, you are represented here in this game. And I do mean represented, right? Like if you are a Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Man fan, congratulations, you got the Sam Raimi red and blue suit. We also have that Sam Raimi black suit from Spider-Man 3. So if you are a Raimi Tobey fan, boom, both suits, you got them in this game. If you're an Andrew Garfield fan, you have that beautiful suit from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And you may be asking me, Nova, but what about the suit from The Amazing Spider-Man 1? My answer is, what about it? It's fucking ugly. It's not here. Deal with it. Deal with it. The suit's an ugly piece of shit, and if you like it, get your fucking self evaluated. There's something wrong with you. Your brain don't work. Because I'm sorry, The Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit, that ugly ass piece of shit that looks like it's the texture from the bottom of a fucking basketball shoe. Fucking, listen, I ain't gonna miss that suit, all right? If you are one of the 3 people out there that's gonna miss the Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit, tough titty, deal with it. I mean, in reality, could they have added that suit? Probably. Would it have hurt them? Probably not. It was already in, the last game. Not entirely sure why it's not here, but I'm not one of those people that's gonna miss it. If you do, deal with it. If you are a Tom Holland fan, congratulations, you are fully, and I do mean fully represented in this game. You have his regular red and blue suit that he got from Tony Stark. You have the Iron Spider suit that he got from Tony Stark. You have the upgraded suit that he gets from Far From Home. You have the Inside Out suit from No Way Home, as well as the red and blue suit with no technology that he makes for himself at the end of No Way Home. I think really the only Tom Holland suit not represented is the Night Monkey suit from Far From Home, which is essentially just a solid black suit with like night vision goggles. It's like a stealth suit. Again, I'm not entirely sure why it's not here. Same thing with the Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit. Both of those suits were in the first Spider-Man game, so I'm not sure why they're not here. Maybe they found that a lot of people didn't care for them or didn't use them. Again, would it have hurt them to put it in this game? No. But, I mean, they're not here. If, again, you're one of the 3 people out there that's missing the Night Monkey suit, tough titty, deal with it. But bottom line, if you are a fan of the live-action Spider-Man suit, 99.9% chance the suit that you love is in this game. And I'm here to tell you that they do look amazing. Now, if you are a fan of the animated Spider-Man movies, congratulations, you again here are represented. Because on top of that beautiful suit that the last game had from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that animated Miles Morales suit that looks like it's straight out of that movie. On top of that suit, you also get the Miles suit from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And no, it does not end there. For Peter, you also get the Spider-Man Noir suit from both Spider-Man Into and Across the Spider-Verse. And just like the Miles suits, it is animated to look like it is straight out of that film. So whether you are a fan of the live-action Spider-Man movies or the animated Spider-Man movies, the suits that you love are here and represented in this game, making suits, again, another area where I feel this game does it better than the last game, adding to the list of things that I think this game does better. Now, I talked about side quests briefly before in regards to how they work with the open world map. I didn't really talk about them themselves. And I want to say that side quests is another area where I feel that this game does it better. I feel that the side quests are far more fun and engaging to do than they were in the previous games. Like all the screwball missions in the previous games, fuck that bitch and fuck those missions. You're like, yeah, I did them, but I didn't necessarily enjoy all of them. Like some of them, I did them because I wanted to complete everything. But the screwball missions got a little monotonous for me. I didn't really love them. Side missions in this game, I feel, are far more engaging and far more fun to do, as well as the open world activity. Also, some of the open world activities that are kind of returning ones from previous games, they've kind of streamlined how that activity works to where it doesn't take as much time as it did in previous games. Because like there's open world activities where you're fighting enemies, and those are engaging. Those are fun. And then there were open world activities before that were essentially QTEs, quick time events. And a lot of people like to complain about quick time events or dislike quick time events. So there are some returning open world activities that are QTEs. But whereas before it was multiple button presses and face button presses and directional presses and all this other bullshit, now it's just two buttons, right? Triangle, square. That's it. It takes half the amount of time to do, and you're in and out, boom, done, and then back to doing whatever you want to do. So, they just kind of streamlined the QTE open world events, and the other open world events were never really much of an issue. They're all fun to do because you're fighting enemies. Fighting enemies is fun. So, again, just another reason why this game is better than those games. Now, here's the big one. Here is the big topic, right? Because I'm sure a lot of you out there are like, yeah, but Nova, what about the bugs, bro? What about the bugs, Nova? And my answer to you is, what fucking bugs? What fucking bugs? Because listen, in my 26 hours, I experienced 0 bugs. No, I'm not bullshitting you. No, I'm not lying to you. 0 bugs. I did, however, have 3 hard crashes. And I will admit 3 hard crashes in 26 hours is probably more than I experience with most games. But after crashing, it would take me less than 30 seconds to get back in the game. But outside of those 3 crashes, I experienced 0 bugs. Now, am I saying that there are no bugs in the game? Am I saying that Spider-Man is bug-free? Of course not. I would never say that any game is bug-free. With the exception of fucking probably Pac-Man and Minesweeper, I don't think that there is a game out there that exists, especially a modern game with as much shit that they're doing. I don't think there is any modern game that exists that is completely bug-free. You will always have bugs. The question is how many bugs, right? And for me, Spider-Man 2 is hands down one of the most polished games I've ever fucking played. And I know you're probably saying, but Nova, I've seen the clips online. But Nova, I've seen the screenshots online. Yes, you have. And so have I. But don't you find it interesting that almost all of these people out there sharing all these screenshots, sharing all these clips, making fucking compilations of these bugs, are never sharing their gameplay? They're never sharing their screenshots? Right? Isn't that interesting? Like, it's never one person's like, God damn it, this game is so fucking buggy. Here's a compilation of 10 bugs that I experienced in my game. No, it's never that. It's, God damn, this game is so fucking buggy. Here's a compilation of 1 bug 10 people experienced in their game. And I'm sorry, just because there's a video with 10 bugs in it, or a video with 20 bugs or 30 bugs, if that's 1 bug that that person experienced in their whole fucking game, or 2 bugs that they experienced in their whole fucking game, that doesn't make it a buggy fucking mess. Does that make sense to you? Right? And that's what these people are doing. These people are taking multiple instances of a person experiencing a bug, putting them together and saying, here's evidence that this game is a buggy fucking mess. It's not. It really isn't. I experienced none. I know a lot of people that experienced none. I do know some people that experienced 1 or 2, but they were like visual bugs and they fixed themselves, or a quick reload of the last checkpoint fixed the issue. Like, it is a non-issue. And there's also, man, it's fucking sad. The gaming community, how fucking toxic it is with the fanboys on both sides. There are people who are literally going out of their way to try to break the game, so if something happens, they can take a screenshot of it or a video clip and say, boom, look at all the bugs in this game. There's also people who are going into photo mode. They're literally walking up to an NPC, chest to chest, going into photo mode, and then rotating their character so that your character clips into the NPC, and then taking a screenshot as if it's something that happened in-game. Like, this is how pathetic the fanboys in the gaming community are, right? They will go to all kinds of lengths to say that this game is a bug-ridden mess. There are also people who are intentionally, the people who bought it on disc, intentionally not updating to the day 1 patch in the hopes that they can catch a bug and then share it as evidence of how buggy the game is. It really is fucking pathetic. And again, I'm not saying that you will play this game and experience no bugs. I would never say that of any game. But I will say with 100% certainty that I guarantee if you do play this game, you will experience little to no bugs. And the bugs that you do experience will not be anything that will be detrimental to the overall experience, right? Spider-Man 2 is, in fact, an extremely polished game. One of the most polished games that you will buy this year. I fucking guarantee it. But if you are on social media, seeing people trying to spin this narrative, Spider-Man 2 is a bug-ridden mess. Pay attention to who's trying to tell you that it's a buggy mess. Because I will guarantee you that they are not sharing their own gameplay. They are not sharing their own screenshots. They are also recycling the same fucking 5 or 6 examples they have because there are no new examples. Isn't that interesting? That post-release, now that we know, since PlayStation just announced it, now that we know that at least 2.5 million people have this game in their hand, because that's what the game did. The game sold 2.5 million copies in the first 24 hours. So now, post-release, now that this game is in the hands of 2.5 million people, if this game is this bug-ridden mess, why are we not seeing this massive influx of evidence of all the bugs this game has? Why are we not seeing this massive influx of people reporting, oh, I have this bug. Oh my God, I had this game-breaking bug. Oh my God, I've experienced 10, 15, 20 bugs. Why are we not seeing this massive influx of people experiencing bugs and with evidence of them experiencing bugs post-release? If this game were as buggy as these people are trying to portray it to be, why are we not seeing a massive influx of evidence? Why? Because there isn't any. They're using the same couple of examples that they got mostly from pre-release versions of the game that did not have the day one patch, or people who were intentionally doing shit to try to break the game and then using it as evidence. Like I said, it's fucking sad, it's fucking pathetic. Spider-Man 2, not a bug-ridden mess, even if that's what social media is trying to fucking tell you. How do I know? Because I fucking played the game. I platinumed the game. You know who didn't? The motherfuckers online trying to tell you that it is a bug-ridden mess. So I don't know. Who do you trust? The guy that played the fucking game? The guy that platinumed the game? Or the guy that didn't fucking play the game? Because when I'm on social media, all I'm seeing is people who didn't play the game talk about how buggy the game is, and then a bunch of people in the comments talking about how they played the game and didn't experience any fucking bugs. Kind of fucking interesting. So what about the bugs, Nova? Again, my answer is what fucking bugs, okay? If you were on the fence about buying the game because you're hearing how bad and buggy the game is and you want to wait till it's fixed later on, I'm here to tell you that's bullshit. Don't fucking believe it, all right? It is 100% bullshit. But again, that's not to say that the game is perfect, because it's not. Like I said, I had 3 hard crashes, and I know that there are other people that experienced hard crashes as well. There's also this weird thing about interactable shit where sometimes you'll walk up to it and the button prompt to interact with it just won't show up, and you'll like walk closer to it, then walk away from it, and then walk closer to it again, and you'll see like flash for a second, and you're like, fucking where the fuck is the sweet spot to fucking grab this piece of shit, right? Like I got it on screen, right? There's me fucking, I can't grab the fucking thing, and you do this weird little dance until the button pops up, right? And it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen more times than I would have liked, and every time it happens, I'm like, fuck this thing again. I gotta do the fucking cha-cha and the salsa while Lou Bega plays Mambo number 5, then I gotta do the fucking Macarena before the fucking button prompt pops up. And even though it didn't happen all the time, every time it does, you're just like, this shit again. And it is a bit annoying, and I'm not sure why it happens as much as it does, but it does happen way more times than I would have liked, and it is one of the small things in this game that did kind of fucking annoy me. But again, it is very, very small. 2 other negatives about this game, and they aren't major negatives, but they are kind of a big deal, is the fact that this game does not ship with a new game plus or the ability to replay missions. And while not a major deal, it does kind of suck, especially because this is one of those games that is so good that after it's all said and done, you want more, right? You are craving more. You can't believe it's over, and you just want more. And at this point in time, unfortunately, the game does not offer anymore. It is something that Insomniac did confirm will be coming in a update post-launch, but we don't have a time window for that. We don't know when that's going to happen. And so at this point in time, the game does not have those features, and it is a bit of a negative. It's especially kind of a pain in the ass for a couple of trophies. If you're looking to get the platinum, there are a couple of trophies tied specifically to combat. And if you didn't knock those trophies out during your 100% playthrough of the game, while you can still get those trophies, it's much, much harder now because you don't have combat encounters as large as you did during the actual game. And you're forced to have to try to get those trophies just using the open world activities, where there's usually only a handful of enemies, maybe 7, 8, 9, tops per activity. So it takes you longer to try to get those trophies. So I do recommend going in, and if you're trying to platinum this game, looking at the combat related trophies. That way you can try to go through and knock those out through your first playthrough. Because if you don't, it's going to be kind of a pain to go clean those up afterwards, because all you have is the open world activities, especially in the case that one of the cool things about the open world activities is that sometimes when you get there, there's already somebody there fighting people, right? Like sometimes you get there and Miles is already there fucking putting the beat down on people, or another character's already there fighting people, and you're like, oh shit, so-and-so is here. And while that's awesome, at the same time, when it comes to cleaning up these trophies and you have to kill X amount of enemies with a certain ability, and you get there and Miles is just putting the beat down on people, it's like, god damn it, Miles, I need those fucking people, stop killing them. Right? Like, hey, fucking so-and-so, look, I love you, I love that you're here, and this makes the world feel lived in, and it's so cool, but at the same time, I fucking need those people. Will you leave them the fuck alone? Now I gotta go find another open world activity, because you're fucking knocking motherfuckers out, and I need them. Fucking go away, right? Like, during your first playthrough, you're like, oh, this is so cool. But afterwards, when it comes to cleaning up and getting those trophies you didn't get in your playthrough, you're just like, fuck, why are they here? Why are they here? God damn it. No, Miles is here, son of a bitch. God damn it. Right? So while awesome, after the game, if you didn't get those trophies, it's going to make getting those trophies harder. So I recommend looking up those trophies ahead of time, pinning them, and trying to knock those out, because unfortunately the game does not have New Game Plus or the ability to replay missions at launch, making getting those trophies a lot harder after you've completed the game. Another area where this game is great, though, is the boss fights. I think this game has some really good boss fights. I personally did find them a little on the easy side, if I'm being honest, but I still found the boss fights really cool. And there's a couple bosses in this game where you're gonna go, holy fuck, I did not expect this character to show up in this game. There were a couple times where I was like, wow, wasn't expecting that. Super fucking cool. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is Venom, because, oh man, like, Venom in this game is fucking awesome. I love the portrayal of Venom in this fucking game. For me, this is the best portrayal of Venom I've ever seen on screen, for me, right? Because as much as I liked the Venom movies with Tom Hardy, I never was 100% behind that Venom, for this reason. Venom is supposed to come in contact with Spider-Man first, then leave Spider-Man, go on Tom Hardy or one of the other people that Venom goes on in the Spider comics. And because he's been on Spider-Man first, when he goes on that person, he brings the iconic white spider, and he also has spider abilities, like, shooting webs and being able to climb shit. In the Tom Hardy movies, that version of Venom never comes in contact with Spider-Man, and that he never has the iconic white spider on his chest. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, imagine Batman without the bat on his chest. Imagine Spider-Man without the spider on his chest. Imagine Superman without the fucking S on his chest. Like, that white spider on Venom's chest, that is iconic. You don't put the white spider on Venom, and he's just a big, tall, goopy black thing, right? Like, I as much as I like, especially the first movie, I like the first movie a lot more than I thought I would. The second movie I thought was kind of trash. Because of the fact that Venom doesn't have the iconic white spider and didn't come in contact with Spider-Man first and do the shit he was supposed to really become Venom, I was never really 100% on board with that Venom. But the Venom in this game, this Venom, I fucking love this Venom. And I know there were some people out there that are like, but it's not Eddie Brock.
If it's not Eddie Brock, it's not really Venom.
Listen, I don't give a fuck that it's not Eddie Brock. I don't give a shit who it is. And these people that are like, oh, it needs to be Eddie Brock, who gives a fuck who is inside of Venom when Venom is Venom? I don't give a fuck who's inside Venom. Like, I'm not gonna look at two versions of Venom that are identical and be like, oh, well, this Venom is cool, but that Venom, even though he looks exactly the same and sounds exactly the same and does all the same shit, I know that inside of that Venom is Eddie Brock, so that Venom is better. Who gives a fuck who's inside of Venom? I don't give a shit if it's Eddie Brock or fucking J. Jonah Jameson or a fucking bus driver. I don't give a fuck who is inside of Venom, right? All that matters is that Venom is fucking cool. And in this game, Venom is fucking cool. And the person who is Venom and the reason why they are Venom, how they become Venom, that person, that character, even though it isn't Eddie Brock, in this story, in the way that this story is told, makes perfect sense and works. So I'm happy with this version of Venom. I will say, I think this game had a little less Venom than I would have liked. I would have liked a little more Venom in it, especially because we got Tony Todd here, the iconic Tony Todd, legendary Tony Todd, voicing Venom. And for as much as Tony Todd talked about how he loved doing this character, I don't think that he was really in it all that much. And I did expect a little bit more Venom. But that being said, with the amount of Venom that we did get, Venom is fucking awesome. Venom is brutal. He is a savage in this game. Also, Insomniac, if you're worried about Insomniac making a Wolverine game because, you know, it's going to be possibly rated M for mature, and Insomniac are the guys that do these bubbly, fun, cartoony Ratchet and Clank games and these goofy, fun Spider-Man games with his little quips. Listen, there are moments in this game that are straight up survival horror, right? There are moments in this game where I'm like, holy fuck, this has now become a survival horror game. And there are glimpses of just how well Insomniac can handle brutality in this game. There was a moment in this game where I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, that'll definitely work well in a rated M game. So Insomniac making a Wolverine game, while I had no doubts before that whatever they did was going to be fucking amazing, after seeing how well they handled these more kind of graphic, rated M, violent situations, I'm even more excited for the prospect of what an Insomniac Wolverine game would be. And I can't wait to hear more news about that. But we're not here to talk about Wolverine. We're here to talk about Spider-Man 2. And I think when you take into account all the things that I discussed in this game, all the positive, the few negatives that there are, I think that Spider-Man 2 is, without a doubt, a notch above the previous two games, and demonstrably so. I believe that Spider-Man 2 is now the best Spider-Man game ever made, period. I know there's some fucking nerds out there, they're like,
Actually, Spider-Man 2, the movie, the game, is actually the greatest Spider-Man game ever made because there's physics-based web swinging in it. That makes it the greatest Spider-Man game ever fucking made.
Listen, you fucking idiots. If physics-based web swinging is really what you want, and honestly, going back and looking at Spider-Man 2, the movie, the game, it's not that fucking great, but that's really what you want, you can turn off web assist in this game, and it's physics-based web swinging. And guess what? It fucking sucks. Also, if you want to try to say that game is better than any of these Spider-Man games, do you remember combat in those games? I'm sorry. Go watch gameplay. Because that's, you hear that a lot. That Spider-Man 2, the movie, the game, is the greatest Spider-Man game ever made. Go watch gameplay of those fucking games. The swinging looks like shit. The combat looks like shit. Plays like shit. Traversal is shit. Walking around is shit. The enemies fucking suck. And listen, at the time when that game came out, I was like, holy fuck, this is the greatest Spider-Man game ever fucking made. But then games came out after that, like Web of Shadows, that are way better than Spider-Man 2, the movie, the fucking game. And I'm sorry, this Spider-Man game, not even this Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2018, easily beat the fuck out of that goddamn game. But Spider-Man 2, this Spider-Man 2, is for me, without a fucking doubt, there is no argument to be made, the best Spider-Man game ever fucking made, full stop. The way this game starts out is epic on the level of God of War 2. When you're fighting the fucking Colossus of Rhodes, Yeah, the fucking beginning of this game, the tutorial, has epicness that is reminiscent of God of War of old. It is fucking awesome. It is also a pure spectacle of Insomniac's abilities and the abilities of the PS5. Right? It's just, it is a wonderful opening segment to a game that really just fucking, it's Insomniac whipping the dick out and just going, bam! And they're like, yeah, this game is that shit, and we are those motherfuckers. It really is. I'm telling you, it really fucking is. If you haven't had the beginning portion of the game spoiled for you, or if you haven't seen the newer trailers that have it, I'm telling you, you will be wowed by the opening segment of this game. It, like I said, best Spider-Man game easily. For me, the best superhero game easily. It just is. And I know people say, oh, Arkham City, oh, Arkham Knight. Listen, those games were great, but they are not on this level. People always say, oh, well, the combat in those games are way superior. Why? How? Nobody can explain how the combat in the Batman Arkham games is superior to the Spider-Man combat. Nobody can. You just say, oh, it's better. How? And then question marks. Every time someone on Twitter is like, oh, well, the Batman Arkham combat's better, and I say, how? Explain. Crickets. Fucking crickets. Or they say, oh, well, the open world in Spider-Man 2 didn't evolve as much as Arkham's did in Arkham Knight. And I go, really? Explain how. Specifically, please. And guess what? Crickets. Fucking crickets. They can't explain, because there is no evolution in Arkham Knight other than the fact that they added a Batmobile, which is more of a tank than a Batmobile. Other than that, it's the same shit, because the open world in the Arkham games is relegated to basically two things: fighting enemies in the open world and looking for fucking Riddler trophy. That's it. For as much praise as the Arkham games get, right? And listen, I said we're going to talk about this earlier. We're going to talk about this now. People try to say, oh, the Arkham games are so much better. Oh, the Arkham Knight is the greatest superhero game of all time. One of the main complaints I hear about the Spider-Man games is, oh, Spider-Man is dog shit because it doesn't have a true day and night cycle. Neither do the Arkham games. They all take place at fucking night. Oh, Spider-Man 2 is dog shit and Miles Morales is dog shit because it's the same, it's still New York. Like, where the fuck do you want Spider-Man to go? He's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man from fucking Queens. He lives in New York. He's from New York. He fights crime in New York. The Raimi films, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, all take place in New York, and nobody was like, oh, he's gonna be in New York again? This movie's gonna suck. Right? The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 both took place in New York, and nobody was like, oh, this reboot still takes place in New York? These movies are gonna fucking suck. Of the 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, 2 of them take place in New York, and nobody was like, oh, these movies are in New York, these movies are gonna suck. And nobody, when they saw Far From Home, were like, oh, wow, this movie takes place in Venice? This movie's gonna be so much better. Like, it's such a dumb argument to fucking make. And also, the Arkham games, guess what? All take place in fucking Gotham. I don't understand these arguments for how the Arkham games are so much better than these games when they have the same fucking limitations that these games have, and in some cases, even more. Because Batman's way of traversing the map, grapple hook and glide. Grapple hook and glide. I'm sorry, swinging? Better than grapple hook and glide. Swinging and glide? Superior to grapple hook and fucking glide. But, listen, if some people enjoy those games better, fine. But I don't think you could really make an honest argument to why those games are better if you take the games apart piece by piece and say, okay, let's take combat, how is it better? I don't think you can really make a real argument for why it's better. I think the Batman combat feels more visceral, but it's supposed to. He's Batman. He is a more visceral character than Spider-Man. Spider-Man is far more acrobatic than Batman is. So yeah, for all this argument that the Arkham games are so much better, I honestly don't think that they are, right? I think that these Spider-Man games are far better than those Arkham games, especially in the way that the story is told, the narrative. I think the narrative of the Spider-Man games are superior to the Arkham games. I also think that the Arkham games benefited hugely from having the voice actors, the iconic voice actors from the animated series, reprise their roles from the game. Like, can you imagine if you didn't have Tara Strong voicing Harley Quinn, or Kevin Conroy voicing Batman, or fucking Mark Hamill, the greatest Joker to ever appear on screen? I'm sorry, fuck Heath Ledger. If you didn't have Mark Hamill voicing the Joker, can you imagine those games? Like, they'd still be great, but the level of greatness, holy fuck, would it take a fucking step back not having those iconic voice actors reprise their roles. Spider-Man never had that. The people voicing these characters are new to the characters. So, again, for me, greatest superhero game ever made. If you have an argument to be made that the Arkham games are better, hey, listen, in the comments, let me know why. If you think the Arkham combat is better, please, by all means, explain to me in the comments. If you think that the open world is better, please explain to me in the comments how. Because anytime I ask people on Twitter, fucking crickets. So if you got the answer, hey, tell me in the comments. Let's have a debate. Or, hey, DM me on Twitter, or just, tag me in a tweet, and we can have a conversation about it there. But I don't think that you could make a valid argument for why those games are better. If you want to say that they are equal to, I'd say I can see you maybe saying that. But better, I'm sorry, no. And again, like I said at the beginning of this video, I am biased towards Spider-Man. But I think that objectively, if I take my bias away and just look at the individual parts of what makes a video game, I think Spider-Man 2, and even the first Spider-Man, just objectively, does it better than those games. And there is no argument for me that this is not only the best Spider-Man game ever made, it is the greatest superhero game ever made. And until Rocksteady comes along and tries their fucking hand at making another Batman game, I think it's going to hold that crown for a very long time, because I think Suicide Squad looks like utter dog shit. But who knows? Maybe that game will come along and take the crown. Maybe Insomniac will take their own crown with Wolverine. We also know there's a Wonder Woman game in the works, a Black Panther game in the works. Maybe those games will take the crown. Who knows? All I know is that for me, as of right now, Spider-Man 2 holds the crown for the greatest superhero game of all time. It is one of the best games made this year. It is my personal game of the year. And I've played a lot of games this year. I've played, let's see, at the beginning of the year, shit, there were a lot of bangers this year. But of the games I beat, not just played, but beat, we got Hogwarts Legacy, Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 4 Remake, we got Jedi Survivor, Starfield. I mean, look, there were a lot of games that I played this year. For me, Spider-Man 2 is my personal game of the year. I have not played Baldur's Gate, and I have not played Super Mario Wonder, although I hear nothing but good things about Baldur's Gate, and honestly think that probably that'll be the game that does win Game of the Year at the Game Awards this year. And, who knows? I may play Super Mario Wonder, and maybe that'll be my Game of the Year, although I highly doubt it, because even though I love platformers, for me, the third-person narrative games like Spider-Man are more my personal taste. So for me, Game of the Year, and even if it doesn't win Game of the Year, it is easily a Game of the Year contender. If you don't have a PS5, I'm not going to tell you to go out and spend money on a PS5 just to play this game, even though I do think that it is worth it. I'm not going to say go out and get a PS5 just to play this game. But if you do have a PS5, why aren't you buying this game, right? If you have a PS5 and you're a Spider-Man fan, this is like the biggest in the universe right now, right? This is the biggest purchase in the universe. If you're a Spider-Man fan and have a PlayStation 5, no brainer. If you are a fan of narrative-driven games, no brainer. If you are a fan of open-world games, no brainer. If you are a fan of action-adventure games, no fucking brainer. All around, this is a no-brainer purchase that I think 99.9% of people are going to play and fucking enjoy the hell out of. If you didn't enjoy Spider-Man in 2018 or Miles Morales, you're probably not going to enjoy this game, right? Even though I think that it's made many changes that I think make the game better, if you absolutely did not like those games, I'm not going to try to sit here and tell you that the changes in this game are instantly going to make you like this game. Maybe they are. I don't know. But if you did enjoy those games, then there is zero reason not to buy Spider-Man 2. For me, out of 10, it is an easy 9.5 out of 10. I don't think it is a perfect 10 out of 10. Although, if someone wanted to make that argument, I could see that. I also don't think it's an 8 out of 10. Although, if someone wanted to make that argument, I could maybe see that too. But I think 9, I think that's the right score for it. 9, maybe 9.5. I think it comes very, very close to being a 10 out of 10 fucking amazing game. I do still think it is a masterpiece of a game and easily the best game Insomniac has ever had. This is also Insomniac just flexing, right? All the things that it learned from Ratchet and Clank, all the things that it learned from the first 2 Spider-Man games, this is Insomniac just fucking flexing their muscles and showing how good they've gotten at this, right? Because like in Ratchet and Clank, you know the portals that go between the different worlds, how there's that kind of in-between area while it brings up the next world, that kind of small loading area. This game has a section like that where you're going through portals into completely different areas that are not New York City. You're there momentarily, so don't get too excited, but you are going through portals into completely different areas with no loading time. Like, it is really Insomniac flexing their muscle. It's the best game Insomniac has ever made. It's the best PS5 exclusive out right now, period. And look, I already fucking know in the comments, I'm gonna have people fucking go, oh, fucking pony, PlayStation fanboy, console war bullshit this, console war bullshit that. Look, fucking look. Good game's a good game, bad game's a bad game. I don't care what fucking platform it is on, okay? I played Final Fantasy 16, didn't finish it. It got boring. I don't think Final Fantasy 16 is a good game. I didn't even fucking play Forspoken because I played the demo and I thought it was dog shit. Both PlayStation exclusive. I don't give a fuck about the platform. Good game's a good game, bad game's a bad game. Spider-Man 2 is a fantastic game. It doesn't matter if it's on PlayStation, wouldn't matter if it was on fucking Series X, wouldn't matter if it was on PC. Wherever the game is, as long as it looks and plays like this, as long as it's this game, it is going to be a fantastic game. So you can take that console war mentality bullshit and your bullshit console war comments and you can stick them up your ass. I got a bag of dicks over here for you to eat, extra sauce on the side. No, I don't know what the sauce is made of. Go fuck your mother. And that's all I got for you guys on this one. And that's the video, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And as a reminder, Kinthal7325, you have until the end of tomorrow to reach out to me either via here or Twitter in order to retrieve your free code for Spider-Man 2. If I don't hear from you by the end of tomorrow, a new winner will be selected. You snooze, you fucking lose. But other than that, feel free to like, share, and subscribe, everybody, and I will catch you guys on the next Supernova.